Antarctica, 1961. The wind doesn't blow here, it hunts. Inside the Soviet research station at Mirny, the world feels already buried. Radios are weak. The horizon is nothing but white pressure pressing back at existence. Then the pain begins. Not sharp at first, not dramatic, just persistent, deep, wrong. Dr. Leonid Rogozov, 27, knows what it means instantly. Appendicitis. Out here, that is not a diagnosis. It is a countdown. Evacuation? Impossible. The weather has sealed them in like a lid on a coffin. The nearest surgical help is thousands of kilometers of frozen silence away. He looks around the station. Every face is waiting for him. There is no other doctor. There is no rescue coming. And now, there is no time left. He makes a decision that has never been taught in any medical school on Earth. If no one can operate, he will, on himself. The Mirny Station is less a building and more a survival argument against nature. Metal walls groan under Antarctic pressure. Frost builds indoors like it has legal ownership. Men speak in short sentences, conserving breath like fuel. Rogozov hides the truth for as long as he can, but the body does not keep secrets in places like this. Pain sharpens, fever creeps, nausea becomes certainty. He finally admits it, appendicitis. The room goes quiet in a way that feels heavier than sound. A surgeon among engineers and meteorologists becomes something colder. A man marked for death in a place where death is normal, but never like this. There is no plane that can reach them in time, no ship that would survive the ice. Only waiting and worsening. Rogozov writes in his notes that night, not as a man recording history, but as one trying to argue with it. I must do it myself. Not bravado, arithmetic. The appendix does not care where you are on Earth. It only knows betrayal. Inside Rogozov, inflammation spreads like an invisible fire under ice. Every movement becomes negotiation with pain. He begins preparing, not for evacuation, for surgery. He studies his own anatomy in a mirror, turning himself into both map and terrain. His colleagues watch in disbelief as he sterilizes instruments with the calm of routine. But nothing about this is routine. The station becomes quieter than usual, as if even the walls understand they are witnessing something that should not exist. Rogozov assigns roles. One man will hand him tools. Another will hold the mirror. A third will stand by in case he loses consciousness. They are not assistants. They are witnesses to an impossible form of medicine. He writes again, "There is no other way." The words are simple. The reality is not. The dining hall is converted. Tables pushed together, sheets sterilized, lamps angled like improvised suns, trying to imitate authority. Outside, the wind scratches at the building like it wants in. Inside, everything is controlled, except fear. Rogozov changes into surgical attire with the quiet focus of someone stepping off a cliff he has already accepted. He lies down, not as a patient, not as a doctor, something in between. The mirror is positioned above him, reflecting a reversed version of his own abdomen. It looks like someone else's body. That is the only way he can do this. He injects local anesthesia. The sting is real. The silence after it is heavier. Then he picks up the scalpel. The room holds its breath, and so does he. The incision begins. Not dramatic, not clean. Human. The mirror distorts everything. Left becomes right. Orientation becomes guesswork under pressure. Sweat forms instantly despite the cold. Pain is partially muted by anesthesia, but not erased. Nothing can erase the awareness that the surgeon and the patient are the same person. He works slowly, correcting himself constantly, guided by assistants who are shaking harder than they want to admit. Outside the station, Antarctica remains indifferent. Inside, time fractures. Minutes stretch, then compress, then stretch again. Rogozov pauses only when necessary, not for rest, for survival. He notes later that the hardest part was not cutting. It was continuing after understanding fully what he was doing. As he reaches deeper, complications arise. The appendix is not cooperating. Inflammation has made everything more fragile, more unpredictable. He adjusts angles using the mirror, relying on touch as much as sight. The assistants offer instruments without speaking unless needed. The room has become ritualistic, a controlled collapse of normal medicine. At one point, dizziness threatens to pull him under. He pauses, breathes, waits, then continues. There is no room for panic here, only sequence, only steps. Outside, wind slams the walls like applause from something hostile. Inside, a man is holding his own life open with both knowledge and will. The appendix is finally isolated. There is a moment where everything stops, not metaphorically, literally. Even the assistants seem frozen in the same second. Rogozov removes it, carefully, deliberately, like extracting a conclusion from a sentence that refuses to end. It is done, but not over. The body is still open. The risk is still absolute. He begins closing himself, layer by layer, thread by thread, a doctor finishing what a patient cannot survive leaving undone. Closing the incision takes longer than the operation itself. Fatigue sets in like gravity doubling. Hands slow but do not stop. Every stitch is a negotiation with consciousness. The assistants now function more as anchors than helpers, keeping him oriented, keeping him awake. Rogozov later described this stage as the hardest, not because of pain, because of exhaustion trying to become surrender. But he does not surrender. He finishes. The final stitch is tied. The room does not cheer. It exhales. Recovery is slow but steady. No infection takes hold. No collapse follows. The body survives what it was never designed to endure. News of the operation spreads far beyond Antarctica. A quiet legend forms around a man who refused every boundary medicine usually depends on. But in the station, there is no legend, only routine returning, only wind outside the walls, only Rogozov, alive, continuing his work as if nothing extraordinary had happened. Except everyone there knows the truth. He did not perform surgery. He negotiated with extinction, and won using nothing but skill, isolation, and refusal.